Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Lancaster Gate. This is a place where we hold many different kinds of events. So we're really fascinated and looking forward to this evening's program. And we're so amazed to see such amazing people here. A few days ago, we had International Women's Day, and it was a completely different atmosphere. We had lots of wonderful women from many different backgrounds, and we were giving awards and hearing testimonies of life stories and so on. But it was an amazing evening. We had an iftar breakfast as well as part of that. So each event has its own character and brings new people. So we're very happy to meet you all. Thank you. I'd like to introduce Universal Peace Federation, first of all, and then I'll invite up Kostas, who's been organizing tonight and is the main force for tonight's program. So we'd like to shoot with a video, and then I will hand over to Kostas. Thank you.
UPF had its inaugural assembly on September 12, 2005 at the Lincoln Center in New York City. Reverend Sun Myung Moon delivered the keynote address.
In closing, I ask you to devote your best efforts for the development and the success of the Universal Peace Federation. Thank you. Thank you.
After UPF was founded, there was a series of world tours where the message of UPF was taken literally to every corner of the world.
That it is time for all nations and religions to break down their barriers. Through this, the era of one family under God will arrive and last forever.
UPF is God's cherished hope. The founders spoke repeatedly of an international peace highway connecting the world from Santiago, Chile to London, across the Bering Strait, what has come to be known as the Peace Road, and a vision for a renewed United Nations. UPF emerged on the foundation of decades of programs initiated by its founders and carried out in all parts of the world. Its growth and development over the past 15 years has been dramatic, if not miraculous, owing in large part to the work of tens of thousands of ambassadors for peace, peace activists, and volunteers who draw from all nationalities, religions, ethnicities, cultures, and traditions, bound together by a vision of peace, a vision of humanity as one global family under one God. The range of programs over the years has been both broad and expansive, from character education to strengthening the family, from conflict prevention to conflict resolution, from poverty reduction to environmental stewardship, from interfaith dialogue to youth service initiatives, from support of the United Nations to partnerships with the African Union, and a wide range of international organizations and NGOs. UPF has a global, multinational, multi-faith network of more than 100,000 ambassadors for peace who support and contribute to the mission and works of UPF. UPF's highest award, the Leadership and Good Governance Award, has been given to distinguished leaders the world over. The World Summit Series is UPF's flagship program involving the highest level of leaders from around the globe, including current and former heads of state and government, to address the critical challenges facing humanity.
Very appropriate that we are here on the 100th anniversary of Reverend Moon's birth, because out of the devastation of World War II and the Korean War, he and his bride found the courage to dream that they could achieve something. And it is amazing what they have created together.
Programs have been successfully held in Korea, the USA, Senegal, South Africa, Nepal, Cambodia, and other nations. The most recent structural innovation within UPF has been the creation of a set of associations dedicated to collaboration among leaders from various fields. These pillar associations are: the International Summit Council for Peace was initiated by UPF co-founder Dr. Hak Jahan Moon in 2019 on the occasion of World Summit 2019 in Seoul, Korea. ISCP is an international network of current and former heads of state and government. The International Association of First Ladies, IAFLP, a project of the ISCP, affirms and uplifts the unique role of First Ladies in contributing to peace and development. IAFLP brings together current and former First Ladies from throughout the world, drawing upon their experience and wisdom as women leaders and as role models who serve their countries in significant ways. The International Association of Parliamentarians for Peace, IAPP, is a worldwide association of parliamentarians which provides a forum to bring their experience and wisdom to bear in the search for solutions to our world's problems. UPF maintains that any successful strategy for peace must take into account the spiritual dimension of our human identity, experience, and interactions. Based on this worldview, UPF initiated the Interreligious Association for Peace and Development, IAPD. The International Media Association for Peace, IMAP, represents a worldwide professional network of journalists who support a socially responsible and moral media. IMAP recognizes the vital role that journalists play in providing objective reporting to foster an informed citizenship. The International Association of Academicians for Peace, IAAP, is a global interdisciplinary academic initiative aimed at contributing toward the realization of a world of lasting peace. IAAP is dedicated to building professional networks for academicians to foster a world of peace. The International Association for Peace and Economic Development, IAED, affirms the role of businesses, business leaders, and investors to make the world a better place. In early 2020, UPF convened a rally of hope featuring dignitaries including Pastor Paula White, Cambodia Head of State His Excellency Hun Sen, President Macky Sall of Senegal, former Canadian Prime Minister Stephen Harper, former US Speaker of the House Newt Gingrich, former UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon, and many others.
I believe that the Universal Peace Federation and its broad set of partnerships in the realms of politics, religion, academia, media, economy, arts, women and youth serve as a good model. I believe the Universal Peace Federation will become a cornerstone to build lasting peace around the world and the heavenly unified Korea based on interdependence, mutual prosperity, and universal values.
Celebrating 15 years, UPF will continue to grow through service, dialogue, and collaboration, guided by its spiritual and moral vision of one family under God.
So Kostas Kapalas has very kindly offered to be the chair of the International Association for Economics and for Development and Peace. And he's doing such a great job of innovating and pioneering this particular association. Please welcome Kostas. Thank you.
Just gonna put in my timer. Good evening, everyone. Nice to see a lot of familiar faces. So, a lot of you know me. I'm Kostas, or Konstantinos. You might find me online. It's my full name. And I'm a holistic health practitioner, the head practitioner and founder of Total Health Now, together with my wife, Lana, who's here at the front. Also, I'm the chair for peace and economic development of the Universal Peace Federation. I took this role because I realized that we need health. You cannot. Health is the cornerstone for anything we do. The one who has health has hope, and the one who has hope has everything. This is an Arab proverb. So, and that's why I took this role. Also, the reason they trust me and offer that role, Margaret and Robin, is because I do a lot of business networking. I'm a member of BNI International, and I'm director as well. So as I deal all the time with businesses, so we thought it will be a good match. And here we are with the first event and with some great speakers. So first of all, let me explain how it's going to run, the event, so you know. We're going to finish at 8 o'clock. I'll have about 15 minutes myself. Then we have Zoe 15 minutes. Then we have Bassanti 15 minutes. And then we have Gulia 15 minutes. And then we will have about 10-15 minutes left for Q&A. And of course, you can arrange and one-to-one after this meeting if you find anything interesting. So let me... Okay, so I've been in the UK since 2000 and, sorry, not 2000, since 1997, more than half of my life, 27 years, and I work in hospitality, Rolls-Royce, Warner Brothers, Claridge's, crazy hour shifts, and that took a toll on my health. And then I started looking for solutions. And then when I realized that health is not only what you eat or what you drink, it's so many factors that I got fascinated with all these things, and I've done endless courses, which Lana didn't agree with all of them, but here we are. It served very well our family and me as a person. So this is how I get into the health industry, and we've been doing that since 2009. We started the business, and then 2012 full-time, so been over 15 years in that field. So we won awards for results as well as for best clinic. So we've been there for a long time. But what I want you to pay attention is some statistics, how health affects business. Everyone teaching sales, marketing, grow. Well, if you don't have a foundation and you grow, it's like a building, you're going to collapse. So the same with health, with business, you need to have the foundation, family, spirituality. I will touch on these pillars, and then my colleagues, they're going to explain in more depth some of them. The statistics, what you need to know, what I want to bring your attention is First of all, that is 103 billion is lost in revenue in 2003, and also that the sick leave, it's doubled from 3.7 days to 6.7 days. So people getting sicker and sicker. This is for the UK. Now, we know that London actually feeds most of the UK, and I thought it was relevant to put some statistics about the London as well. So for London, I would like to bring your attention again that we double the number of work days lost. It went to 23.5 million from 15.66 million. And it's a 41% rise in sickness. So it's smarter for business to invest on prevention and do therapeutic programs, not just apps and theoretical things. So then the people, because I work in busy environments, and I've seen how people were sick. I was in the catering departments, and they could see who's going to come for the chocolate, for the coffee. They couldn't function without this. And I know it resonates with many of you. So it's more wise to invest on educating in all these therapeutic aspects, nutrition, emotion, beliefs, that is going to do productivity faster for how to memorize things faster and be productive at work, how to sit properly, how to do exercise, which Bassanti will talk to us. So all in all, it is wise to invest in health, and it will have a massive impact on productivity. One thing I've noticed, and people don't take that into account. When you have sick people, the good workers, I was one of them, you see what's happening. We're constantly short of people. They bring from agencies sometimes, they don't know the job. So you're working for 2-3 people, taking a toll and said they're not serious, you're leaving. So then you're losing the good people as well. So it's not just about the money, you're losing the good people. 2003, it was costing, when it was in Clarges, they told us $4,500 to recruit an assistant event manager. I was an assistant event manager. $4,500 just to hire me with recruitment training, etc. So it's very expensive now to replace people. So why we get sick? That's the good bit. So it's not one thing. You see online now, oh, it's this, you need that product, or you need that therapy. It's a synergy. Everyone has their own biochemistry, and we're unique. What thing it might work for someone for the stomach, let's say they have poor digestion, they have pain. For someone else, it might be the stress, the emotions that basically affecting the stomach energy channel, meridian. So it's not the same solution for the same problem if they're different people. So everyone is unique. So there is a lot of basic factors that affecting their health. Most of the people, they have a problem, and they feel a bit of ache and stuff. They said, okay, they park it. Then they have more pains. It's like the frog. If you put it in a boiling water, it will jump out. If you put it in cold water and bring it up the temperature slowly, you can boil it to death. Little problems. So never ignore the little problems, they lead to bigger problems. A lot of confusion on the social media. A lot of the information, they're great, but you need to know what is good, what is not, how to put it in place. And a lot of information, you need to wait. A lot of the truth, you need to wait 50, 60 years to find the truth. Can we afford that? No. I mean, they were promoting before that the cigarettes, they're good for our health, even for pregnant women to relax. There is a lot of other things. I'm not going to start touching on all these things. They will tell me conspiracy theorists, but we need to be smart and be ahead of the curve and protect ourselves. So the way we work, with all these years of experience, the courses and stuff, we just put it down in a few pillars, and I just want to give you the big picture, so next time when you're looking for your business or health, you're informed, you're educated, and you're not being manipulated for something, for a quick fix. So they can be emotional, nutritional, spiritual, environmental, physical. They can be different frameworks. I just put it on that framework so I can communicate it easier to people. So nutrition, chemicals, there is all this list, heavy metal, processed food. There is even more of that. So these things needs to be addressed. It's not only I need to eat more greens. Greens what? I mean, it might be pesticides and affect your health, even make it worse. So physical, structural, Bassanti can show exercise, etc., for how you sleep. And even if you do too much exercise, people think exercise is good. If you're sick, it's not good. It can be, you need to do less. They can be environmental, from wireless networks, mobile phones. There is so much literature, science, which we can provide them to you. Then you have emotional, mental. There we have Zoe, which is, again, takes a big toll, and a lot of programming that's from families, parents, society. What was Henry Ford we were talking? Henry Ford said, if you think you can do it or not, you're right. So beliefs is a big part, but I'm not going to get into your shoes there. But that has a big impact. Stress, cortisol, which poisoning actually the body, coagulates the blood. So you see, it's not just what you eat. It's a synergy of things. And that is a big thing. Some people that don't want to face that, who we are, what's happening after death. It's massive questions that we need to address them before it's too late. So some people like to put under the carpet, but that is a big thing as well. And on the physical, again, I forgot to mention, and the mental, there comes also Gulia, because if you're more productive, you stress less. If you have a lot of work to do and you can do it more efficiently, then that less cortisol, less tiredness, less hours on the chair. So everything is synergistically. Let me work. Okay, I'm excellent with time, actually. Then, again, because there is so much information out there, you need to make sure that you deliver everything into a sequence. Okay, assessment. What is the issue? Then we have to neutralize the stressors. So because if you try to get well and you have the stressors, emotions, you have the posture is constantly like this, which affects circulation. So you need to find what is these stressors, eliminate ideally, or reduce drastically, and then you just have to restore. What is the gaps? What damage they created? So let's say if people is like this, then with yoga, other exercise, they can start straightening. So you need to restore them. Then you need to guard, to protect, because if you don't do the maintenance, you're just gonna go back, and then and new stressors come out all the time, which people that don't know. So that's important. And then which basically comes who you are. That's a spiritual part. Some people don't touch it at all, but I'm glad the UPF touches that. That's why I was actually, connected very well when they touch the family and the spiritual part. Why us? Well, experience, technology, and results. We use medical equipment, and we have a lot of reviews and case studies. We've been doing that for many years with clients. And again, it's not about us. I just wanted to mention to you that what we do and why I'm actually here and speaking to you. We do corporates, we do health MOTs, we do intolerances, we deal with various health issues. And the only thing you need to remember is, if you can't make time for your wellness, you will need to make time for illness. And not only time, budget as well. It's 40 to 50K, they were telling me the other day, we were discussing for wills and financial planning for a year to go to an elderly house. And then if you don't have the money, they can sell your house, etc. So it is wiser prevention and to be healthy rather than let it to someone else and take over your financial aspects. So, yeah, you can book online a health and energy review. Here is the contact details. And I'm done, but I have 2 minutes, so I can take a question. So I know my rights. So any questions? I'll take one question and then we'll keep some time for the end. Excellent. Any question? No?
Excellent.
That's good then. So usually you worry that people didn't understand you, the accent, the beautiful Greek accent. So perfect. And on that note, we'll keep the time for the end and people can ask any questions they want. The main thing is I'm on time. So brilliant. So who do we have next? Let me close that. No, I know who we have. Let's have that. So yeah, next we have Zoe Clews, which is founder, hypnotherapist at Zoe Clews and Associates. So she's very experienced and she's dealing, I'm not going to explain in detail, but I use hypnotherapy in the past myself when I came to the UK, which brought me to tears when you release. I didn't know why I have the tears, but I feel better afterwards. I did send some people also to Zoe because she knows her stuff. And basically that can help you. It's part of the emotional pillar and the beliefs, the programs that are affecting us. But I'll let you do your bit. And you have 15 minutes. You can use my extra minute 16, but, and I will point out.
Thank you, Costas. Great. Hello, everybody. For those of you I haven't met yet, my name is Zoe Clews, and I am a hypnotherapist and founder of Zoe Clews and Associates. We are a 22-year old practice, and we've been based in Marylebone. So I'm a hypnotherapist. We also have I have a team. We're an 11 strong team, and we're kind of like a SWAT team really for all issues. So we deal with pretty much everything. So we're not all hypnotherapists, we're therapists and coaches as well. So we've got sexual wellness coaches, we've got children's therapists, we've got neurodiversity coaches, and we've got a few hypnotherapists dealing with all sorts of things like addiction and weight loss. And I specialise in things that I specialise in are anxiety, all forms of anxiety, so that everything under the anxiety umbrella, because we are kind of living in the age of anxiety, aren't we? So things like OCD, generalised anxiety disorder, phobias, all of that stuff, depression as well. I also treat complex trauma, CPTSD, generational trauma, so I do all the light-hearted stuff, right? All the fun stuff. I like to get my hands dirty. But then, of course, we cover all sorts of things, relationship issues with couples therapists. So we've got this really amazing team that's like a SWAT team for all of your psychological, emotional, relational, and neurodiversity issues. And today, I wanted to talk about hypnotherapy and the power of hypnotherapy, because hypnotherapy changed my life. I've seen it transform so many people's lives over the 22 years I've been in practice. And so much of the time we have something and we think we can have this real limited belief about ourselves. I used to have it, and it was like, oh, this is just how I am, or this is, oh, you know, that's just me, or, you know, I'm not lucky, or, oh, it's all right for them. I always said that, oh, it's all right for them, they've got this and that. But actually, there is so much that you can transform. You know, I'm always saying to people, it's very likely that you don't have to live with it. Obviously, there are contraindications to hypnotherapy. We don't treat the things, more serious psychiatric things, such as schizophrenia, psychosis, but if anything under the kind of neurosis umbrella are the sort of things that we look after. So there's lots of misconceptions about hypnotherapy. Some people think it's mind control, and they've seen stage hypnosis, and they see people on stage thinking a broom is like a really hot chick, or they see people thinking they're a chicken. And actually, I did train in stage hypnosis, so if we've got enough time, we can do a bit of that. No, I'm joking. I won't do it today. It's not the right time and place. But hypnotherapy is a master tool, and it can be used for so many things. It's so transformative. So I thought I'd start by talking a little bit about the difference between the subconscious and the conscious, because they're such different animals. So we have our conscious mind, which is our rational, logical mind. It's the part of your mind that's listening right now to everything I say. And then we have our subconscious, which is a completely different animal to our conscious. It's not rational. It's not interested in that. It's emotional. It's all about safety, and it's far more powerful than your conscious mind. If you think about dreams, you don't have rational dreams, do you? You're usually quite crazy, because the language of the subconscious is metaphors and emotions, and it's trying to get you to process things. And I'm going to talk about the subconscious in terms of a good way of understanding it is it's got sort of its character, it's got four main features. Number one, it's your inner protector. So it wants to keep you safe, and it will prioritise what it believes is your safety over everything. Now, that would be fine if it understood time, but it doesn't understand time either. So your subconscious doesn't understand time. So our conscious minds understand linear time, but your subconscious mind thinks everything that ever's happened to you is kind of still going on, which is where phobias come from, which is where trauma comes from. Because you know the expression, once bitten, twice shy. Your subconscious is once bitten, forever shy. Yeah? So, you just have to have a bad flight once for someone potentially for them to get a really bad flying phobia. Because if your subconscious mind doesn't think it's safe for you to do something, it doesn't matter what that thing is, whether it's starting a new relationship, starting a business, presenting publicly, giving up an addiction, or if it doesn't think it's safe for you to stop doing something that you might be finding detrimental, like overeating, if it thinks that actually, eating is... overeating, for example, is soothing to you, using it to regulate your emotions. So if you want to start doing something or stop doing something, and you've struggled with that, despite your best intentions, it means that it's a subconscious problem. And I only deal with subconscious problems, because if it's a conscious problem, we just decide, oh, I'll stop doing that thing, or I'll start doing that thing. So everyone I see for a subconscious problem. That's why I treat things like banana phobias. Fear of ducks, everybody, all sorts of things. That's a phobia, there's a phobia called anatidophobia, which is their belief that it's a phobia that you have a fear that somewhere a duck is watching you. It's really strange. Over the 22 years, I am mentally unshockable. So every single problem I treat is subconscious. So, we are, so your subconscious, just to recap, it's your inner protector. It doesn't understand time. It's dominant over your conscious, which is why people get so frustrated with themselves. They're like, I know I don't need to feel anxious about X, Y, Z. I know it isn't logical that I'm scared of balloons, whatever the thing is. But your subconscious doesn't care about that. It doesn't care about logic and reason. What it cares about is keeping you safe. And it is your emotional centre. It generalises. So let me give you a good example that kind of sums up all four characteristics of the subconscious. If I was bitten by, say, an Alsatian as a child, by an Alsatian dog as a child, my subconscious mind will then think, I need to keep Zoe safe. So what it does, it sets up a phobia to protect me. And it can be 30 years down the line that this phobia kicks in. Suddenly my subconscious thinks, I don't like that dog. And because it generalises, I'll be scared of all dogs. I'll be scared of chihuahuas, dogs that really, really aren't scary. And, the subconscious will start to limit me, and it might say, don't avoid parks where there's dogs. I'll start to, and if you don't face anxieties, they tend to really shrink your lives. This is why people become agoraphobic, right? Because they just avoid it. Because we all avoid, when things are scary, we avoid them. But anxiety loves avoidance. And a lot of the time, it isn't enough just to push yourself through fear on your own. You need support, and you need to talk to the subconscious. So whenever I'm working with someone, I'm talking to their subconscious. And that's what hypnotherapy is for. And you can use it for so many things: eating disorders, anxiety, stress, phobias, addictions, all children's issues, habits. Its use is kind of unlimited, like I said. And if we think about hypnotherapy in the workplace and how effective it can be there, if you think about the workplace issues that people have, performance anxiety is huge, and it's never to do with, nearly everyone I've ever treated, it's never to do with their competence or their ability. I work with really talented people, often CEOs and people in really high level positions, but they've got really burnt out. They get really scared of public speaking. They've, like I said, the subconscious is once bitten, forever shy. Someone can have presented all their life and have been really stressed, done a presentation, their subconscious mind suddenly decides this isn't safe for them to do this presentation anymore or speak publicly, and then they get nervous about doing Zoom calls and all of that stuff. So hypnotherapy is great for any form of anxiety, because all anxiety comes from the subconscious mind. Burnout, that's a big one, because again, the subconscious mind doesn't understand time. So if you think about it, it's just collecting every single piece of information that you've ever that you read. It's collecting every negative experience you've ever gone through, as well as the positive ones. So often in hypnotherapy, people are able to access memories that we don't go around consciously remembering everything all the time. But people in hypnotherapy are able to access the things that are driving the problem that's going on in the present. Imposter syndrome, that's another one. It's so common, and the people I see for imposter syndrome are nearly always so high achieving, but they still got this belief inside that somehow they're not good enough. Burnout, stress, performance. We work with corporations as well as individuals on all things. And a lot of what's driven in the subconscious mind, the fears, the anxieties, is down to beliefs. So we're born, we're kind of like a sponge. From between the ages of 0 and 9, we don't actually have a conscious mind. We don't realise that things aren't our fault. We don't realise if mummy and daddy break up, it's not because I'm a bad girl. We don't realise that we're not responsible for everyone. We kind of think everything's about us. And if you grow up in a home that is difficult, challenging, you have a lot of adverse events, or perhaps just you're bullied at school, things like that, all these things have a huge, huge impact on our tender psyches from a small age. And then they become a belief, and this is what we call believe the false self in psychology. You can believe I'm not good enough, the world isn't safe, I'm unlucky, no one likes me, I'm never going to be happy. And these beliefs kind of sit there in your subconscious. Now, you don't always know that they're there. That's what's so interesting about hypnotherapy. You only know that you're stuck. Most people don't come in saying, I've got this belief about myself. They just say, I experience anxiety when I try to move forward in this area of my life. And that can be romance, finance, work, health, anything. So a lot of the time we're working with beliefs. We're asking the subconscious, what are these beliefs that are driving the issue that's going on? Carl Jung says all neurosis has its reason in legitimate suffering. So a lot of the time we're working with people that are presenting with one thing, and actually underneath it there's a lot of stuff that is unprocessed. Probably similar to how you find you're presenting with a symptom. The same that happens with the body is with the mind. And using that example again, the mind, just like the body will let you know if something's off. It will start to grumble, complain, or something more serious perhaps. The same happens with the mind. So things like panic attacks, anxiety, depression, burnout. Really, it's your mind, it's your subconscious trying to let you know. And it always can often feel like a negative thing. It can feel like, why am I getting so anxious about this thing? Why am I feeling so depressed? But actually, it's your subconscious mind trying to let you know there's some things that need to be resolved. There's beliefs about yourself that need to be metabolized, transformed, and changed. And you can change so much. That's what's beautiful about hypnotherapy. It really is so powerful, and its use is unlimited. A lot of the time what's happening is this. Consciously we want X, Y, Z. Or consciously we want to stop doing X, Y, Z. But subconsciously the opposite is true. So if you want true freedom, what you need to do is align your conscious with your subconscious. And that can take some time. It's not instantaneous, depending on what you've gone through. Because remember, we're all subject all the time to different messaging, layers of messaging as well. So you get it from childhood, you get it from parenting, you get it from your peers, we've got the media. We're not designed biologically to be in touch with this many people on social media, let alone all of their opinions, which are sometimes rubbish, a lot of the time. All this misinformation, all this information, we're not designed. So of course we're getting burnt out and overloaded because the subconscious holds onto that. So hypnotherapy is fantastic for clearing out the kind of cachet, if you like, lightening the load of everything you've absorbed over the years, and lightening the load of all the messages that aren't even yours as well. Because we inherit our parents' unhelpful beliefs, sometimes our friends. We're like sponges. We become less sponge-like as we grow older, but still we are living in a time of information overload, so we're always absorbing. So it goes back to that thing of kind of really looking at, okay, what's driving me here? What's restricting me? If we're trying to move forward and we're stuck, it's because something's going on subconsciously. It's pulling you back at some level, and you can use it for everything. So one of the things that I'm going to offer you all today is at the back there is a sheet with 2 barcodes on. If you QR codes, sorry, not barcodes, not in a supermarket. If you scan with your phone one of them, it gives you my business card with the website and everything on there, what we do, and all of the team and all the different things that we offer. And the other one is a link to sign up, and then I will send you a free deep sleep recording so that you can experience hypnotherapy in the comfort of your own home. Because people are sometimes a little bit nervous about hypnotherapy, and just don't listen to it when you're driving. Someone called me once, is it okay to listen to in the car? And I was like, definitely not. So have a listen to that and have your own experience of hypnotherapy and have a really nice and restful sleep. And I just wish you all a very positive journey of being able to transform your own lives and continue to move forward free of anything that's holding you back.
Perfect time. That was excellent. I love anything that has to do with health. It's my passion and gift. People actually, they look in life and say, oh, what shall I do with life? It's very important to be in a good relationship. If it's not good, don't be in a relationship. And also to find a purpose in life. So when they ask, what I don't know what to do. Well, see where you spend most of the time and the money, and look at that direction. The passion will be there. So this is how I found my passion for health. But excellent. Thank you for making us aware about the beliefs and the subconscious programs, which really managing everything. So now we'll have the third speaker of the day. We have Bassanti Pathak. Is that correct, the Pathak? Pathak, okay.
I answer to everything, so it's fine.
Who is the founder and CEO at NeuroVeda by Pathak Yoga. So I'll give you all the time to explain what you do. I know what you do, but I'll give the time for you. So that's your...
Thank you. That was the alarm
yes.
for Zoe, I think. Thank you. And Ray here is my new best friend. Thank you very much. Fantastic. Okay, so I'll start by introducing myself and just a quick overview of what I am going to talk about. And this ties in really nicely, actually, and I think it's going to have a lot of ties to Gulia as well. So my name is Bassanti, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of NeuroVeda by Pathak Yoga. I'll speak a little bit about who we are, what we do, but I want to focus on these 3 different things. One is the breath. The second one is moving and holding of postures, being body aware. And the next thing is meditation. And I have said yoga and meditation's effect on the brain. Actually, yoga is everything that I'll be speaking about. It's often reduced to just the physical aspect, just the postures, just the movements. But actually, yoga is much, much more than that. And I know we've got someone in the audience who knows all of that, probably. So let me start by explaining what we do. For the past 10 years, we were actually Pathak Yoga, making employees healthier and employers happier. My sister and I started the company because we were really interested in doing something that was new. So bringing yoga to a space where it wasn't known yet, to the corporate world, where there were maybe a lot of misconceptions about what yoga were. And I always call it the skinny white girl thing that we don't do. And it's fine if you're skinny and white and you want to get flexible and toned, and you will get the benefits from yoga. But there is a lot more. And I always say it's like having an alphabet and only stopping at A or doing A, B, and C, but you won't be able to communicate properly until you know the whole alphabet. So we have recently rebranded in the summer because I felt like I was going against so many of these common misconceptions around what people think yoga is versus what we actually do. So I'm now calling the company NeuroVeda by Pathak Yoga. Neuro as in neuroscience, but also a lot of other science, epigenetics, quantum physics, and all of what we do is really informed by all of that latest scientific research. So that's why the neuro comes in, and the Veda is the ancient science, so the yogic science. And that comes from the word Vedas, which essentially means science. and study. So now we're focusing more on optimizing the workforce and bottom line, improving staff mental health and well-being. However, it's exactly the same as we did before. We're just giving people the incentive, because for employers it's better to know we're optimizing the workforce and bottom line. And on the left you'll see all of the things that we are improving with certain programs that we offer, but also with a lot of the services that we still offer. So when we first started off, it was about chair yoga, it was about making sure your posture was right, it was about telling people how to breathe properly down here rather than up here, which actually stresses you. Now we actually look at teams and they might say to us, well, I heard you do chair yoga, I think my team needs that. And in the course of us speaking to the managers, to the leaders, to the different individuals in the team, we may find out that actually, yes, they may be off a lot because of back issues, but we'll then find out that the underlying cause of that is stress or maybe conflicts in a team. So then we come in and we say it's not just about us giving you the tools to sit properly, but also about getting better at teamwork. And one of the ways that we do that is through a particular type of meditation. So I'll start with the biggie here, reducing stress. So it is obviously no big secret that your workforce can be a massive asset and the biggest liability as well. So one of the statistics I've got here, which I think is really shocking, and yet it's one of the many ones that I could have cited, 84% of UK employees report feeling stressed at least once a month, with almost 40% saying it affects their work performance, and it really does. So you can give people all the best training in the world. If they're still stressed, they're still going to underperform. So that is a really big thing. And the immediate benefits of stress, because obviously there's chronic stress, there is immediate stress, you can have a deadline, and that is maybe even good stress, because as we might all know, stress is fantastic in the first hour, then it turns to all the bad stuff that we do not want. However, if you need to calm down before a big meeting, before a big presentation or something like that, you can get these benefits from going from your sympathetic state, from that stress response, that all the adrenaline and cortisol running through your body, within 2 minutes to your rest and digest response, to that parasympathetic state, by just focusing on long exhalations rather than breathing up here, you're breathing down here. So it doesn't take long, and that is one of the things that I love to teach people as well, because it really gives you the tools to become better. So while I am happy to come into companies, to send my employees there, to do these sessions with the employees, I'd also like them to know what it is that they need to do when they don't have us there. And that's what it's all about. So you can have a lunch and learn with us, 30 minutes, we'll teach you 3 of the essential tools to calm yourself down in any situation. And you can have hours of guidance with us as well if you want that. On the left-hand side, you see how slow breathing affects heart rate variability. And it has so much to do with decision-making. I won't speak more about that because one of the things that Gulia will talk about is decision-making. And then, of course, there is the side of physical stress as well. It's about moving in a way that is good for your body. It's about holding postures, often for longer than you think you should, because we may know that we release muscle tension if we're holding a stretch for about 1.5 minutes or 2 minutes. After that, however, we're going into the connective tissue, fascia, ligaments, tendons, that we should not forget about. And sometimes we're just not holding for long enough. So it's sometimes good for someone to come in. We do this online as well, but someone to tell you, and now it's time to release, rather than you think, I think I'm done now. It's been enough, you know. So what we do here is chair yoga. We combine that with computer ergonomics, and the most important thing is, and I see that a lot with other people that offer these services, is it needs to be inclusive, it needs to be effective. So you can't do too tough a session. You need to make sure that you look at the people who are in front of you, read the room, give them what they actually need. And sometimes that also means not giving them what they want, because they might have certain ideas about what may make them feel better, but they don't know themselves. And so we will probably agree with that. It's the conscious mind versus the subconscious mind. So getting rid of repetitive strain injury, musculoskeletal disorders, working on eye strain as well, having exercise for what does that do to your eyes when you're constantly looking at your computer screen. Getting up is a big one, obviously. And while we're moving like that, we're obviously also working with lowering our stress hormones, getting ourselves to produce feel-good chemicals, that positive neurotransmitter GABA, which stands for gamma-aminobutyric acid, and it essentially slows down the firing of neurons so that you become less anxious and calmer. And I do want to say, and I am part of the problem sometimes as well when I talk about these things that we're alleviating, because there is different cultural concepts of stress, of tension, of pain. So we have concepts that make sure that we understand the world, and we start that from a very early age. If you have a child in front of you, that child throws something out of the pram and the parent says, it's okay, you're angry, that child will have its first concept of anger, which will get refined again and again and again. One of the cultural things which I found quite interesting is there's a doctor who spent a lot of time in the Middle East, and he said, well, here we don't get backaches, no one struggles with that, they get tension headaches. So I thought, okay, that's very interesting. So there is something to be said for the mind and the importance, the power of the mind over what we feel in the body. Now, meditation and yoga, but I'll focus here on breathing and different types of concentration. Meditation is such a massive field that I won't go into the different ones. Some are actually very similar to what Zoe does. So there's certain meditations, Yog Nidra meditation, for example, yogic sleep, which gets you into that hypnosis state in which you're obviously very receptive. But what happens immediately when you meditate, whether it's through breathing or through concentrating on something, or just letting the mind wander and introducing a mantra that comes in, and we've spoken about transcendental meditation earlier, it slows your respiration and your heart rate, and it lowers your blood pressure and your blood sugar levels. What does that mean? Obviously, it means that your parasympathetic nervous system kicks in, so you're becoming calm, homeostasis, wonderful. Your brain waves will go from agitated to calm. Your amygdala, which is always called the center for stress and emotions in the brain, but anyone who knows a little bit about neuroscience knows that that is very simplistic, but it is quite active, and we want that activity to change. In some meditations, or most meditations, the amygdala activity dampens, which is great. In some, it is actually heightened because we want empathetic concern. So if it's a compassion meditation, you want higher amygdala activity together with your prefrontal cortex working in connectivity. Your prefrontal cortex is often called the brain CEO, your logical thinking mind. So it is complex, but what we're trying to achieve with different breathing techniques, with different meditations, and also with the way we're holding us, is retraining the brain, rewiring the brain into healthier thought patterns and behaviors. And that is called neuroplasticity, something that we didn't know existed until a few decades ago. And who you become, just to make it more tangible rather than talking about the brain, is you will have improved cognitive skills and executive function, memory, focus, concentration, all of these wonderful things that we want all the time. And sometimes, because memory is a really, really interesting one, it starts with the immediate memory of remembering little things. So that is your working memory. Imagine it, it's often called a whiteboard, where you're writing and immediately something is erased. And that working memory needs to work, needs to be trained in order for the rest of your memory, your long-term memory, to work as well. It's great for lowering anxiety and depression, I was saying earlier, especially severe depression. There's studies that show that it is as effective, sometimes more effective than medication is, but obviously without the side effects. And in terms of stress and burnout, you will go from that to being more resilient and more productive. Resilience being one of those things that I wouldn't say is numbing things and pushing them down into your subconscious, but actually knowing what is going on, being so in tune with what's going on in your body, noticing the signs that our body is sending us, our interoception, that we will not get into a position where we'll make choices that are bad for us. So that's what it's about. Then that leads to informed decision-making, negotiation skills. So I was mentioning a compassion meditation, which is fantastic for teaching teams better negotiation skills and just being better team players because of it. It might mean that you're sitting in a team with people you really don't like. However, you will get to that place where you're able to put yourself into their shoes, and that is exactly what you need in order to be a good negotiator. And convince them as well, because you need to know how they think rather than push onto them what your opinion is, right? And yes, longevity I've mentioned at the beginning, and that goes hand in hand and is exactly what Costa said. It's not just one thing. It's not just how are you breathing. It's not just which meditation you do. It's how aware are you of everything you're doing. What do you eat? And we touch on these things as in our programs as well. So it is a holistic look at what is healthy for you. And that is, as Costa said, not a one-size-fits-all approach. But we can really, through these initiatives that we have, lower sickness and absence rates. One of the things we did, so that is a recent client that we had, we they came in and they said, yeah, there's a lot of back pain. There's also a lot of cognitive errors that our team is making. And we came in and we really talked to everyone, just listened and read between the lines. And we then came up with a program that combined body scans, so mindfulness-based meditations with compassion meditations, as well as computer ergonomics, adjusting the workstation, and different chair yoga exercises in order to get them to a 32% reduction in absenteeism and 13% revenue increase. So obviously a big one. So these things really, really matter. And what's always most important for me is not, yes, it's great if we're delivering, of course, but the most important thing is the health of the company and ultimately the health of the whole country. And that is it from me. So I've also got a little, yeah, I know, I'm amazing. We're all really good at this. No pressure, Julia. You'll be amazing. On the left-hand side, that's a QR code that will take you to my LinkedIn. You can also book a free discovery call through my Calendly link. And you can get in touch with me on any platform that you could possibly think of, not X, I'm not on that. And and I've also got a little goodie. If you get in touch and you send me an email or you get in touch via LinkedIn, I will be sending you a free body scan meditation. So thank you very much.
Well done, Bassanti, and also well done for finishing on time. I love the alphabet, what you mentioned about the alphabet, and also we say sell what the people want and give them what they need. People, they're not aware what they need. It's just only what they want. And well done. Very, very nice presentation. So, and without further delay, we have our last presenter for today, Gulia, Selene, Remondino, founder and CEO of inGeniusly. So I'll give you all the time to explain what you do. I took your courses, I know what you do, but it's, I think everyone will enjoy it.
Thank you. From here. It worked. Nice. Hello, everyone. My name is Gulia, and I'm the founder of inGeniusly, where we help people to improve their brain performance. Okay. And today, time is tight, as you may have noticed, and everyone has been very good, so I will do my best. I was hoping one of them would kind of fold. So, damn. But I want to start with two questions for you. Okay. The very first question is, if you could have one superpower to achieve your goals, what would it be? And I said to achieve your goals, why? Because when I think of just about a superpower, like my fancy superpower is teleportation. So I want to have teleportation because I have all my family and friends around the world, so that would be amazing. But if I think about a superpower to achieve my goals, maybe the answer would be a little bit different. And so I would like you to start thinking about it, and then we're going to park it for a moment. Has someone got it? You can just nod if some know it. Wonderful. Second question. How would you define success in life? There may be someone that has a clear definition of success, someone that wants to think, okay, wait, I'm not sure, let me think about it. One thing that I've noticed over the years is that the definition of success has changed a lot. So if in the past, when you ask people to define success, the definitions would be very focused on financial results, career achievements. Nowadays, something has shifted because we want success, but we want it on our own terms, and rightfully so. Okay? What does it mean? The definition of success nowadays has become much more holistic. We want to make sure we have success in our career, financially, but also in all the other areas of our life. And we want to do so in a way that's sustainable, in a way that doesn't lead to burnout, without feeling overwhelmed. We want to do it feeling happy at the end of the day. So there's many more components to this definition of success. And so what happens? That if in the past succeeding could be thought of, okay, if I put in some effort, I will get there. Nowadays, if we think about succeeding like this, we may think about it being difficult, being utopistic, unattainable. And so when we think about what it requires nowadays, it may require sacrifice, it may require compromise. We start feeling a bit like this. When we try to juggle everything without dropping anything. And some of these words that are written there may be words that we think about when we describe our own day, our own life. How are you feeling today? Oh, I'm a bit exhausted. How is life? I feel a bit overwhelmed, but I mean, not bad. And we start using these words also in our vocabulary. And then he was thinking to our subconscious mind, and then we can go to Zoe and ask for help there, okay? Because that's how we start defining ourselves, okay? We get into this mindset in which either I succeed professionally or I handle everything else. I dedicate time to all the other areas. We choose to drop some, we give up on some of the dreams that we have, and if we don't deal with it, we end up in one of these 5 categories. The first one I call this 0, because it's when things seem to be going well still, okay? So I'll read what these categories are. You may notice that in the past or nowadays, you may have been in one of those, okay? So the first one is, you're driven, but different projects start demanding more and more from you. Now, this happens all the time because things will demand more time. So the more time we dedicate to something, the more it will ask from us, right? So how do we recognize that we are in this category? Is when we start feeling a bit mentally fatigued. So we're like, okay, I'm still handling everything, but I start feeling a bit of that fatigue. If we don't equip ourselves in this phase, what happens? Then we move on and it starts escalating. So we move on to the next phase. You're achieving what you want, but it's taking too much effort or time. So you are having the success you want, but when you look at what it's required to have that success, it's a lot. You start feeling overwhelmed. That's how you recognize it. If you don't fix it now, you move on to the third level, where you're putting in the effort, but you're not even achieving what you want anymore. So the results that you have don't match the effort that you put. You know, when you get to that stage in which I know I'm supposedly doing all the right things, but results are not coming. And that's when you feel frustrated, because you know you're doing the actions, but the results are not there. Then if we don't fix it here, we escalate a little bit more, and we get to the point in which we start giving up on what we really want to achieve. So we're resigned. You know those people that when you look at them, they know what they want, but it's too hard anyway, so they settle. They just give up on what they really want. And then if we don't fix it here, we end up in the last stage that for me is the most worrying, but we can work on everything, no worries, which is when you don't even know what you want anymore, and you feel very lost. It's like you've even forgotten the dreams you had. I feel as human beings, and we've seen it also very well with the video at the beginning, what fuels us is like big dreams and a big scale, and it makes us feel in a certain way. But then there are moments in which we haven't learned how to deal with all these phases, and we just forget even what dreams we had in the first place. So the question that we asked ourselves at inGeniusly is there another way? The answer, we'll find out. Not spoiling it. So, is there a way to succeed professionally but without compromising on other areas of life? Succeed professionally without feeling overwhelmed, without burning out. And in order to find the answer, we need to be explorers. And so we need to understand something. So what do we see here? It's an image of a tree. Fantastic. Do we see trees like this in nature usually? Or is there something different? Something different. So here we can also see the roots. Now, the fact that we don't see the roots when we look at a tree, does it mean that roots are not there? No, roots are still there. And it's important to look at those if we want to look at the health of the tree, right? So the effect of a problem cannot be its cause. So all the states that we described before, feeling lost, frustrated, resigned, overwhelmed, what are they? They are effects. We need to go and look at what lies underneath. What is the cause? You've already seen some of the causes that Kostas, Bassanti, and Zoe have presented. And today I want to talk about another cause that at times we don't look into that much. These are all consequences. What is the cause? We can see an image. What do we see? A brain in prison, okay? What does that mean? It means that we have all been given superpowers, but we haven't been taught how to use them. So imagine you have a hero in the story, full of superpowers, but they are at times unaware that they have them in the first place. Other times they know they have them, but they don't know how to express them. They know how to use them. Of course, they would feel frustrated, overwhelmed, lost, and so on. So, what is our biggest asset? Something that's free, that we all have, that's super powerful. Oh, for example, it could be a brain. Now, our brain is incredible. It's incredibly powerful. If you think about the brain, I'll give you a couple of facts. Do you know how many neurons we have inside our brain? It's about 86 billion. It's a number that's so big that we can't even picture it. That's how big it is. And it's not even why the brain is powerful. The brain is powerful because of the connections between neurons, and those are trillions, so even more. Or do you know how fast information travels inside a brain? It's 268 miles per hour. So imagine you're on the motorway, all of a sudden you're like 268. It's fast. Our brain is fast. However, we see this, we imagine this superpower, then we look at everyday life. We enter inside a room and we forget why we were there. We look at someone we met 10,000 times and we're like, dear, hello, lovely, how are you today? You know? Because there's this mismatch between how powerful our brain is and how we are able to use it. Okay? So if we go back to the question, if I could choose a superpower of my choice, my superpower of choice would be the ability to use our inner genius. Why? Because in the moment in which we learn how to use it, what happens is that we can work on the root cause so that we start seeing different results. We can unlock our genius and transform the results on the surface. We can start feeling more balanced, more successful. We can regain that motivation for the dreams that we have. We can have that clarity that very often is missing and that generates so much of that sense of overwhelm that we may feel. Because a lot of the confusion that we feel is what creates that stress, that burnout. When we have clarity, it's so much easier to live the life that we want. And this leads us to create a symbiotic relationship with one element that I'm going to describe now, which is called SSE. What is SSE? It's a sense of self-efficacy. This is an incredibly important concept that was developed by Albert Bandura, and he described SSE. What is it? It's our perception of how able we are to do something. Now, Zoe said it very well. Very often, there are super high achievers, like people that are really good at what they do, and they're still incredibly stressed about performing the tasks that they're good at. How? Because it's not about how good you are, but it's about your perception of how good you are, which is very different. When we start working on our SSE, then we can see a lot of results. So when we start feeling confident to do the things that have to be done, what happens? Then we start feeling more happy in terms of job satisfaction. We reduce the amount of stress that we feel because when we look at a task, we are not scared by it anymore, but we feel we're able to have an impact on that task. Our sense of agency, that some of you may have heard of. And at that point, our ambitions, our dreams can start growing again, because we feel we're able to do it. I hear so many people saying that the reason why they don't achieve the results is their laziness. I hate to break it to you. But every human being is lazy, that's true. But no human being doesn't achieve their goals because of their laziness. Laziness is just a symptom. And it's usually a symptom of us not feeling able to tackle what we want to tackle. So of course we'd protect ourselves. Our subconscious mind will protect ourselves, our guardian. Okay, so how do we increase our SSE? We need to, so there's one way, if you read everywhere, the best way to increase your sense of self-efficacy is to create references that you're able to do it. So you need to achieve results. Because when you see a result that's tangible, at a certain point you're like, okay, wait, I can't unsee that. I've done it. So that helps immensely. And so how do we achieve any result? We need to develop certain skills that will help us to achieve them. And those skills can be broken down into sub-skills. So let's make an example. Let's say that the result that I want to achieve is to get a promotion. Now, I talk with my manager, and my manager says, you know what? In order for me to give you a promotion, you need to develop your leadership skills because you need to be more of a leader. Now, when we think about leadership, what are some of the sub-skills that are components of leadership? What would you say? What do we need in order to be good leaders?
Communication.
Communication, very good. The ability to nurture people.
Listen.
The ability to listen.
Statistic.
The ability to?
Statistic.
To read statistics. Analyze.
I say statistic.
Statistics. Good. I think good leader. But everyone has their own idea of good leadership.
New skills, information.
The ability to gather information, to use it, to create a vision, to strategize, to manage. There's so many things, right? And if we break those down, we will get to 12 skills that are all dependent on how we use our brain. There's 7 that you see up there, such as time management, productivity, decision-making, presentation skills, speed reading, memory, and so on. And then if you dig even deeper, you find 5 that are critical thinking, focus, lateral thinking, attention to detail, and problem solving that lie underneath everything else. If we start developing the foundational ones, then we can develop the advanced ones, and then at that point we can tackle any type of task that we have in front of us. And at inGeniusly, this is what we do. So we help people develop these 12 skills so that they can finally have the tools they need to use this powerful tool that our brain is. And I want to close with a quote and a freebie as well. So, Napoleon Hill, that some of you may have heard of, said something, which is, some people dream of success while others work hard at it. And I believe that this is very important and very true. I also believe that he died in the 70s, and nowadays we even have more tools. So yes, we need to work hard, but when we learn how to work smart, we avoid ending up in that race in which we add effort without ever seeing the results growing. Because that's what eventually leads us to feeling exhausted and overwhelmed and stressed. Now, what I would like to give you as a little gift is it's a quiz that you can take. It's a 2-3 minute quiz. It's fun, it's playful, but to start developing, seeing which of the foundational skills are the strongest for you already, and which ones may need a little bit more focus, so that you can start targeting your attention on what requires more effort rather than going in circles and ending up not improving anything. So there you can see a QR code that leads to my LinkedIn. So if you just add me to your LinkedIn, send me a message with the word genius, I know that I will need to send you the superpower quiz so that you can identify what your main superpowers are. Starting from those, expanding those, you can work on everything else. We'll also be there for chat, business cards. Yao is also with me, and he heads the corporate side of inGeniusly, so he works with corporates. I work more with individuals and business owners. But together our goal is to make sure that more and more people realize how powerful they already are. When we apply everything that we heard today from all the speakers in conjunction, then we build a system that supports our success in a way that's also healthy. And so thank you so much for having us here and for listening.
Well done, Julia.
Thank you.
Well, I hope you can take the laptop if you want back. It's yours, isn't it? I hope you enjoyed the presentations as much. This is the guys that are top on their profession, and as I said, I worked with them before. And you mentioned about the people have big dreams. What I found is when you have big dreams, you need energy. To have energy, of course, you need to have health. But if you don't have the skills, and these critical skills and advance, it's a disaster because you can spend hours in the computer to study where you can do it 1/10. I saw that on your courses. So that's, you can see how the synergy of all these things come together. And only this is a few pillars. There is other people who can offer different services. So without any further delay, we're going to bring some chairs here. We're going to take questions. You can ask any of the speakers you wish. Will not be offended the rest. And yeah, we'll use the last 15 minutes for that purpose. leave that. I think everyone can hear us.
Yeah, I think.
So we're open to questions. You can choose who you want to ask. What intrigued you?
Everything.
Good answer.
Just if we could use the microphone. Oh, I can hear.
I see you as all problem solvers once something has happened. So how are you changing the corporate nature that stops that happening in the first place? Now, I have a theory as well. At one stage in my career, when I was trying to become a broadcaster and I needed money and I wasn't making enough money from broadcasting, I went into sales. And my philosophy was the culture that this company was, it was selling cameras, was that you had a corporate identity, this is what you did, this is what you had to say to them, this is how you gained sales. I broke every rule in the book because I don't believe in rules. I believe in being conscious, happy, and truthful to a customer. So in the end, there were 2,500 staff, and I was in the top 5 of the sales team in the whole of Great Britain because of it. And so what I look at is one example of how you change the philosophy of corporates, because it's cruelty in corporates that's giving you the problems that you have to face a lot of the time. How do you change that philosophy? Now, just to give you one more, quick example. One of my friends started an organization called Kindnamics. So Kindnamics is actually a process where she teaches companies, corporates, kindness. And you think, why do that? Because in reality, if the corporate climate is not kind to the employee can suddenly just disappear off the map, and they can then come to you. And I get it, you're all great experts. I love what I'm hearing tonight on all of this. But I wonder, how do you collectively come together to change the corporate nature that is causing the problems in the first place?
It's interesting because you're sort of talking about the micro and the macro, I think, the individual and the collective. And your story, which is really amazing, by the way, I was very impressed by that, is beautiful, because for me, it really demonstrates something that is a really powerful concept in hypnosis. So I was talking a little bit about stage hypnosis earlier and how that works, and how it works for the stage hypnotist to hypnotize somebody and make them believe, a 6'5" man that are holding a fairy in their hand, is that their reality is stronger than theirs. So you have to make your reality stronger than theirs. It's actually how cult leaders work as well, by the way, right? But if we're talking about using this for a positive way, in a positive way, your reality was stronger than theirs, right? So they had this template that they were putting onto you of do this, do that. You were like, no, I'm strong enough in myself, I'm well and healthy and anchored enough in myself to go in there, and you came in there with a new reality that was actually stronger than theirs. And in a way, that's what we all need to be doing. I don't know how, I don't really have an answer to how do we do that collectively other than coming together, as we are here tonight and continuing to talk, but it's very much about being stronger in your reality than someone else's in your health.
You can all answer on that topic. I think it's a valid question, because with what we presented, how do we bring it over? I think everyone will have a chance to, to answer that, so you can...
Yeah, I think one of the things is coming to events like these and just getting together and knowing that you're not the only one who feels like this. Just today I've met people who I didn't know beforehand, and there was just something, there was the same energy in the room, and I just feel we need much more of that so that we know we're not alone, because it feels quite right, the corporate world, it's this big thing. But if we break it down to different individuals, and like I said with my company, yes, optimizing the workforce and bottom line is what we do, this is the thing we're selling, but actually what we're doing is improving staff mental health and well-being. So it is sometimes about how you're selling it, how do you get a foot in in the door. But it's also, it is the messaging. It's being really convinced that what you're doing is right. And what I have focused on for the past 10 years was really just the nitty-gritty side of making the teams better, making them work better. But the more I've looked at how people are burning out their teams because they are getting someone like me in, or because they're giving hypnotherapy as a benefit in kind, that is not what I want. So now I'm focusing more on executive education, and I'm bombarding them with all of the stats on meditation, the different kinds of meditation, how happiness is actually something that will make you a better employee. There is so many stats out there. So it is really about speaking their language. So rather than saying, I'm making everyone feel much better, that's not going to sell. But if you're speaking their language and you're talking numbers and statistics, that is a really great way to get them on board. And then they'll get what they want, but we'll also get what we want. And that is how you change the whole corporate world, not just of London, but beyond.
So ladies first.
And I want to connect to this point because I think that speaking their language is like the very first step. So it's true that people will buy more into an idea of solving a problem at the beginning than preventing a problem. But in the moment in which people start seeing that, oh wow, this problem has been solved, but it could also help for other things, it kind of creates a ripple effect. So at times you need to start with what people are able to see in that moment, and from there expand it to something more and reach a critical mass as well, where it becomes the norm. Maybe we're still far from that, but we can still dream, we said, right? So we can dream and come together to make it happen, I would think.
Perfect. So, first of all, thank you. You covered most of the things. We're not into solving problems. We're about prevention. It's a massive, massive movement of health optimization. So people realize it's more economic and more wise to prevent health issues, as well as to improve their health to an elite level, because of course, and not only, important to speak their languages, and also we need to walk the talk ourselves, our energy field to be stronger, and we do need to speak numbers. What they care for how much money they make and not have employee turnover. And I'll tell you something will surprise you. Like they don't allow spiritual healing, energy healing in hospices, etc. Now, they're paying money to do Reiki. Because Reiki, where it came from, it's like foremost like spiritual healing. Now, obviously, people can argue with that, but it's on the hospital. So when the time is right, these things, they're gonna be accepted. You have homeopathy is accepted, acupuncture is accepted, so many other modalities, because people fed up, they don't get the results they want. We see people. So, yeah, speak their language, walk the talk, and we're not only sorting problems, we're about prevention, and we use a lot of the services for prevention. It's like brushing the teeth. We need to do things on a daily basis, weekly, monthly, but it's not only for sorting issues. I hope we answer the question.
And I also think one last thing on that. I also think it's important to be optimistic, because it's very, very easy to see all the things that are going wrong in the world and all the things that still need to change. But optimism is what keeps you motivated as well. And I think there is so much. I mean, in the 70s, those that do the greatest research on meditation and all the benefits of it were closet meditators. They couldn't tell anyone because they would have been called hippie, cuckoo, exactly.
Well, the guy from the Apple was doing that, and some other celebrities, they were doing all this kind of stuff, and even they were taking some drugs, and they said, this is what we were doing, spiritual work, and suddenly they make some big millions. So let's take in another 1-2 questions. So thank you, Ian, for the question. Yes?
Costas, and with all of your permission, it's already So Costas, and with all of your permissions, Chloe, Bassanti, and Julia, may I please add to Ian's question, considering how much it resonates with me and why I started my practice in the last 8 weeks, moving away from a chief of staff banking role for the last 25 years being in the city. Absolutely. So thank you for the awesome question. I think it begs empathy and compassion, which is an attribute of an evolved soul. Because if you go back to a rudimentary stage from where we have evolved, where we are primates, to when we started walking straight. Then it was just a hunter-gatherer. But then from there, we've evolved into having compassion. And right at the, if I am a CEO or I'm at the top, how am I being compassionate to my fellow people? How am I being compassionate at a grassroots level to ensure that all of the things that needs to be happening happens? So one of the 3 pillars that I have committed and have built, going back to your kinematics that your friend has done, is to offer clarity, to bring commitment from my client, and also have compassion built in. And the reason I've built in the 3rd pillar, which is the most important pillar, which they get told before they give me the money and sign up, to say that you have to commit to the compassion at a grassroots level where you can see the benefits. And because it's not, the way I'm selling it is, when you snatch a pen or steal a pen from somebody, you get instant gratification, you feel good about it. But that's only for a few seconds. The dopamine kicks in, gives you happiness. But when you give the same pen to a child or to your employee, in that metaphorically speaking, when they need it, that employee feels overjoyed. And that act of giving and compassion stays with you at a sustained level for years together. So would you be interested in the compassion element of my pillar? And only then you will pay me. So what I'm getting at is, to your point, individually and collectively, if we work together, because we are in the practice and influence that change and hold leaders or people in the power accountable to commit to compassion, I think that's another way of kind of reaching out. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
So let's get in one more question, and I'm aware of the time.
So one from Zoom.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's good.
Lance Gardner is asking, what is your view on hybrid working? Does it help with improving mental health and enabling a greater balance in life? So hybrid working.
Hybrid work.
If you think that it works, well, we can just answer just a few seconds each. What do you think? Let's go in order. If you think hybrid working, if the hybrid model working for mental health issues, you said mentioned?
Yeah, for mental health. Sorry. For improving mental health and enabling a greater balance in life.
Yeah, okay. Just everyone.
So I think that my answer would be, it really depends, because then I may be wrong, but the way I see it is, if I think, for example, about my team, there are some of my team members that if they have hybrid work, the time that they spend at home is more stressful than the time that they spend in the office, while on the other side, there are other team members for whom the fact that they have the chance to spend time at home means a more balanced life, being able to take care of themselves in a different way. So I think it's hard to give a one answer that fits everyone from my perspective, but it's about understanding the individual, what necessities they have, what it means for them, and giving an option that allows them to be successful, but at the same time, take care of all those other areas of their life that matter.
Thank you. And I would agree, and I would say it's very dependent on what issue, mental health issue you might be struggling with. And I would also talk about neurodiversity here as well, because I know that we have a lot of neurodiverse clients and we have neurodiverse members of our team, and they do prefer working online, and that can be really helpful. That can be supportive of them because they can get very overwhelmed. And I think things like, there's an important piece around regulation, self-regulation and co-regulation. So obviously we self-regulate, and one of the reasons, but we also co-regulate, which is how we regulate our nervous systems through being around other good people, like safe people, if you like. And that was one of the problems with, obviously, I think happened with the pandemic, was that a lot of people weren't able to self-regulate because they were dependent on co-regulation. So I personally think it's pretty good to get a balance, but then it depends on your levels of introversion and extroversion. So there's so many new moving parts to that question, really. I think it's about really getting to know yourself and what your needs are. A lot of mental health is recognizing, okay, what are my needs, regardless of what Tom, Dick and Harry are doing, what are my needs for what I need, you know, and lots of different things will impact that. So it's getting to know yourself and what works for you.
100% what both of you have said. And I think it is, as always, not a one-size-fits-all, because it depends so much on who you are as a person. And what I would say is that it is important, yeah, like you said as well, to have stability within a network, to not just rely. So hybrid is the key. Don't just be online, don't become a hermit, because we do need that interpersonal connection. We need to be in the room with people. We need to touch them, see the afferent nerve fibers, how you self-regulate, how you calm yourself down, how other people help you in dealing with your stress response. And there can be, anything can be a wonderful thing, and it can also be the opposite. So anything can become an addiction. Even, sports can be wonderful, but it can become an addiction. Being home alone can be really wonderful and nourishing for you, but it can also be the opposite of that. So a balance between that, and sometimes it's worth not just listening to yourself, because we can also manipulate ourselves very well, but also listening to the people closest to us and what they say. So if someone says to you, you've been inside for the last 5 days, you need to come outside, maybe trust them.
So, you answer everything, but I have something to add. Very important. First of all, it's important if you don't feel well mentally, just don't attribute it to one thing. Oh, it's because I work hybrid. And secondly, recently I've done a course a couple of months ago where basically you can find the meta programs for each situation. Let's say if you do sports, you're going to exhibit certain meta programs, like you want to be a team player, or your decisions depending on what other people say. So you need to find out how you enjoy working. Me personally, I want to work on my own. I want to do things because the people are too slow for me. I'll tell you the truth. But when it comes to sports, I can play with the team and perfectly. So in one situation, I can function with different meta programs, behavior, and in another situation completely the opposite. So you need to find out what is the attributes. So that's a different topic we can book and discuss separately, but that's it's not one solution fits all. And we're 3 minutes over. We can take more questions, we're fine, but
Okay, one more. Are there more questions?
Yeah, sure.
Hello. So first of all, thank you very much for the speeches. They were all very informative. You mentioned, I think each of you mentioned in your own way, that the area within which you operate, there's a lot of information that's out there. And sometimes it can be hard to distinguish what is the most important thing to be aware of versus what is maybe noise that you can discard. So my question to you is actually, I hope it's an interesting one. It's in each of your individual areas, what is the one thing that people aren't talking about as much as they should be that we can take away with us right now?
We can start the opposite way. So, first of all is treat all the clients. I treat personally all the clients like they're psychics. They can read your mind. So it comes the compassion there. So be 100% there for them, and the client needs to think. Okay, does it make logical sense what the person says, and does it feel good intuitively? So look the results they got, what they're saying, listen to your gut feeling, listen to your logic as well, and then make a decision. If it's not the right decision, then you can always change it. It's not the end of the world. But just be careful for not get into emotional buying because of big promises. For if you have chronic health issues and problems, then it will take time to undo these things to undo all of this. So just see if you connect with the person, makes logic sense, and also intuitively, and if they have the results they promise. So I hope it helps a bit.
Just to clarify the question was, what is it in my field that I want people to speak more about or to know more about? Okay, great. Yeah, and that is a lovely question. I think what it is for me is just that yoga is seen as so limiting, and we get much more benefit out of it if we really look at what it is in all its facets. And it is never just one thing. Yoga is, it's explained as a moksha shastra, or a tool book for enlightenment. And enlightenment is a massive word, and everyone associates other things with it. And those who aren't spiritual will be thinking, oh God, no, this isn't for me. And those who are spiritual may not even know how to define it. So spirituality, enlightenment, these are massive words. So often I will talk about how I would explain enlightenment from a neuroscientific perspective. What happens to your prefrontal cortex, to your hippocampi, your amygdala, etc. So how does the brain of an enlightened person look? So it's an optimized brain, and that is what we achieve through how we hold ourselves. Every hand gesture, there's mudras, different hand gestures that do something to your brain, and everything we do has an effect on the brain. So when people speak about yoga, I want them to know that it is everything that we do, just going through life with awareness in our body, in our brain.
That's a really great question. There's so many things that I wish were talked about more. I actually think this is creeping in more now, but for years I said, I'm really pleased we've got mental health awareness. What I was really frustrated by was there wasn't enough trauma awareness, and the realization that a lot of mental health is actually a response to dysfunctional family systems, dysfunctional society systems, dysfunctional environments, toxic environments, that it's a response. So I saw this very well-meaning advert years ago on a billboard, and it said, my OCD, it was a mental health awareness ad, and it said, my OCD is as much a part of me as my blue eyes. And it's like, well, no, you're not born with OCD. OCD is a response. And it's just kind of, I'm glad there's more trauma awareness now, but I got very frustrated with these things because it's kind of like, actually, there's so much that can be changed. That and, dysfunctional systems. The dysfunctional family systems I'm fascinated by. It's a whole thing that, and how kind of really generational trauma, which I'm really interested in, how one generation kind of pounds its insanity into the next, and there has to be like a cycle breaker of sorts. So if you've come from like 2 long lines of lunatics, which I have, me and my sister had to come in as very powerful cycle breakers, and I was either going to become a therapist or probably end up in prison like they did. So, I think that needs to be talked about more. And I think the impact of trauma, and people think trauma is, they just think of big T trauma, but actually the world is traumatized, and there's all these micro, macro, all of that stuff I'm really passionate about that I would love to talk about more, but I'll pass the mic over.
I will listen forever, by the way. So for me, I think that, so what I'm seeing nowadays is that people are more interested in developing their skills. However, this becomes a bit of like a butterfly effect. Like I jump here, I read an article there, I think I know everything about productivity, and then I jump there, I read an article there, and I say, oh, I know everything about critical thinking now. And what we're losing a bit is the depth of understanding how to get to a level of mastery rather than just knowing superficially a couple of tricks. Because a couple of tricks won't change our life. In the moment in which the time, the effort, and the knowledge, the right strategy to master the skills that we need, that's when we see the actual change. That's when that root is healed and it can affect everything else. So a little bit more on the importance of the depth of learning, not just trying to get everything at once, because that's not how it works. So many other things, but yeah, I'll stop here.
So thank you very much, everyone. So we might take some photos.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you.
Very nice. Very, very good.